This is the Silver Blood Inn. I'll let you figure out who owns it by yourself. Ah, yes. Here, take a look at this. People say there's someone in Riften that can change your face. Make you look completely different. Do you believe that? Remember, ale is cheaper than blood in Markar. visitor. Word travels fast, it seems. As fast as time flies. Which makes sense, given that they're both a type of bird. No doubt, you came for the Argonian known as Two Tails. I am he. As you should be. It's not every day you get to meet the first hero of the Fourth Era, and champion of Tamriel. With the Divine's blessing, I've been granted a great gift. A weapon to conquer an ancient evil that has awoken from centuries of slumber. That's why the bards sing my name, from mead halls to ship decks, in castles and colleges, and sometimes in your head. Our hero claims our hero's heart. I tell you, the Dwarvenborn comes. Dragons. Unthinkable. The dragons have been extinct for centuries. What is dead can never be revived. No, the ancient evil I speak of as dwarves returned from the land that time forgot to enslave mortals to work in their underground mines. Or, more specifically, a dwarf, Mazanuk, the Guard Eater. He returns with his army of mechanical spiders and centurions to win the day itself. Your worst enemy and your best friend, as you are nothing but a dog to him. And like a good doggy, he's going to make you fetch dirt, then bring it to the surface while his army of centurions flog you with brass whips. Mazanuk aims to devour the gods, at least the ones that live underground, and in doing so, propel our world into chaos. But as it is written in the Histbark and inscribed in the assortment of spoons I keep in my pocket, all is not lost. For there is one that even the mad dwarf and his legion of machines fear. In their tongue, I am known as Thuammerdzin, Dwarvenborn. I was fishing near the coast of Nibben Bay in Cyrodiil when I saw a bearded mage standing by the bank. In his hand was the ugliest fishing staff I had ever seen, but when he raised it to the sky, a massive island rose right out of the water. On it were rocks, chiseled into the shape of dwarven heads, only they weren't rocks, but cheese. Then, waving the staff around some more, he conjured 3 beggars to eat away at the cheese rocks, from its mustache down to its chin. Their efforts revealed a secret portal, a gateway to the Dwemer homeworld. Curious, I followed him into the bay. I swam, he walked. I trailed him to the edge of the shoreline, just as he was about to enter the portal. Then he stopped and turned in my direction. I was hiding behind some brush, but I could have sworn he winked at me. Turns out there was just something in his eye, specifically the arrow that I shot in his face for winking at me. It was my fishing bow. How else are you supposed to catch slaughterfish without a proper bow? Or staff for that matter? Now I had both. In fact, I could have used the staff to catch twice as many fish if I were a fisherman and not the one true savior of Skyrim. But first, I needed to step through that portal, which I had no problem doing. I didn't kill a man and 3 beggars to catch more salmon. As Dwarvenborn, I possess what is known as the Machine Hand. Simply by placing my palms on a device, I can disable it permanently. I am now on a great quest to place my hands upon as many dwarven machinations as possible, so that I may render the God Eater's army inert. It doesn't matter if it's a broken spider or fully operational Centurion. One touch from my machine hand, and no smith can repair it. What you speak of is a temporary solution. Pointless when you consider that Mazanok can resurrect his machines with his hands or his voice. Only the touch of my machine hand can render them ineffective. Every wire, every gear, every part becomes as immaterial as the void. They say he was a gifted dwarf, blessed with the ability to craft, repair, and if need be, marry machines, simply by touching them. Some even say he learned the way of the voice, that he could direct his spiders to sweep the floors by issuing a simple 3-word command. Something like, broom floor sweep, or beep boop bop, or insert tube here. You know, common phrases of the machine tongue. Then, one day, while renovating an old cave, he came across a magic scroll written inside a tube of fungus. Inside was a 100,000-year-old prophecy. One had foretold what already happened 75,000 years ago, at the dawn of time. It told of the age of the soup people, who flowed through the underground rivers of Nirn like hard, creamy magma, and were extremely delicious. It warned of a day in the distant past when the soup would turn cold, so cold it congealed. These jelly blobs and their scabs would be what they've become. The early beginnings of man and beast. The same way a beast of the wild tracks a mate. Musk, smell, aroma. The kind that will drive mortals to action. Not all of those actions are necessarily good. Some of them are great, and some are pretty much perfect. I'm that some. Only what the gods foretold. They say Mazanok will come from the west, charging down a mountain, led by an avalanche of metal boulders, spheres. Behind them will be the mad dwarf himself, riding in a steam-powered war carriage, pulled along by dwarven mammoths. They say when Mazanok makes his charge, the ore veins across Skyrim will melt, and the rivers will run bright with metal. Only the Dwarvenborn possesses the power to stop him. From here in the Eyrie, I can watch for his descent, as well as create a strategic barrier to protect myself from his spies. It's the only place that's completely safe. Mazanok has his spiders everywhere, hiding in the dirt like eight-legged mud crabs. They're out there right now, burrowed in the mud, not 40 paces from where we stand, using the grass and the weeds like an insect's antenna. Only these antennae aren't like the kind you find on a bug. No, attached at the end are magical listening spheres, painted white to look like flowers. Cotton balls, fungal pods, tulips. His eyes and ears are everywhere, searching for the one they call Dwarvenborn. Conversely, there isn't a section of wall or piece of dwarven metal that I haven't blessed with my machine hand. It's completely quarantined. Goodbye. How can I help you?
excuse me, but have you seen my headdress? I seem to have misplaced it. The one on my... Oh, well, don't I feel stupid? I told myself the last time that would be the first place I'd look. Just don't tell Invar. She's likely to shave my head and glue the thing to my scalp. She always tells me if I fell out of a boat, I couldn't find water. But I can't say she's wrong. Oh, all sorts of things. It's bad enough I forget a headdress or two. But sometimes I forget to put on other pieces of armor as well. One day I ran into a fight stark naked. Sure, I caught the enemy by surprise, but it's not a tactic you want to be known for. Wearing my armor is one thing I won't ever forget again. Knock on... well, if you see some wood on your travels, be sure to knock it for me. Other than that, I'm not good with names, but faces I remember, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. I think it's because I'm a visual person. That's how I learned to cast spells. I just imagine them coming out of my hand. I even learned to conjure my first sword that way, from my head to my hands, although I can't seem to recall where I put it. Really? That's a relief. I was beginning to wonder if I was going to bury all of Skyrim with the swords I left behind. Hey, I resent that. I've killed plenty of men. Okay, maybe one. And he was made of straw. But he was scary enough. To be honest, I don't care if I ever kill another. But they say I got magical talent. So I'm trying my best not to let anyone down. So everyone says, but sometimes I wonder. They keep telling me I got an old soul, like maybe one that belonged to an ancient witch or something. But if I got someone else's soul, does that mean I'm not me? If I die, do I become someone else? Make it count what? And why? I don't really want to spend my life counting things. Invar is my sister. You'll find her around here somewhere. She doesn't like it when I forget things, lose things, or both. It's usually both. It ain't just the little things either. I have a hard time with the names, whether it's people or the old gods. I can remember some, like the god of bones, and the goddess of the hunt, and, what was it? Think, Estelle, think. I'm afraid I just get it all wrong. Thoughts don't stick to my brain so good. The only thing I remember is that story one of the elders told about death and what happens to your soul. Something like returning to the world as another creature, like even a tree or a spider or something, which is just about the most horrifying thing I can imagine. If I came back as a spider, I reckon I'd bite myself and throw my health potion in the river. I'd like to be a travelling minstrel. I know my head don't have room for but 1 or 2 stories, but I'd mostly play music anyway. Music is different than words. If I need to remember a melody, all I have to do is remember a feeling. The sad tunes tickle my eyes and make my stomach feel like there's a slaughterfish swimming about inside. The hearty songs make my palms sweat, and the funny songs make my shoulders feel light as a lunar moth. Some songs are so epic they won't fit in your body, but you only need look up and find them written in the stars. When I told Invar I wanted to play music, she laughed and said I'd be the first tone-deaf minstrel in all the Reach. But the next day she killed some travelling bard and gifted me his drum. I thought it was rather sweet. You don't like it? I know it doesn't have much in the way of furnishings, but there's a warm fire, lots of space, and you can't beat the view. Most of the free folk around here stay in the towers just to the east, but it gets a little crowded. Fendrick needs the space and bandits to kill, or else it gets cranky. There's also a strategic advantage to holding this lookout, but I don't really know too much about that. If you want to talk war and politics, you should talk to my sister. Although, you're best off agreeing with whatever she says. Opinions are like the weather, and nothing we say can ever change them. I don't know, I guess I am. But I really ain't married to any side in this war or that one. Seems to me no matter who you follow, it's always ruined by someone. If you want to be loyal to the Empire, it's ruined by the Thalmor. If you want to be a Stormcloak, it's ruined by the racist Nords. If you want to be a Forsworn, you've got to deal with the matriarchs. And don't tell Yinvar, they sort of creep me out, and that ruins it for me. Sister says if you don't pick a side, you might as well off yourself. But the gods ruin that with all their talk of the next life and the after. Also, Yinvar says killing yourself was kind of cowardly. So I guess it got ruined by cowards too. And it's not just war. You want to be a mage, it's ruined by necromancers. You want to be a bard, it's ruined by fairy bards. So I thought, why not be nothing? Ain't no harm in that, is there? What if I don't consider myself to be a good person? What if I'm a bad person? Maybe good things happen if bad people do nothing. The Reachmen say his human heart was too big for his chest, so he traded it in for a smaller model. The romantic type say his old heart was broken by the only woman he'd ever loved. I guess I side with the romantics. Fendrick loved Yinvar more than a dog loves a bone. My sister don't take kindly to being buried. She said he was suffocating is what I mean. All that attention. Although, I wonder, is that such a bad thing? Yinvar's a free woman though. It's like the elders say, there are bees meant to make honey and bees meant to sting. Personally, I don't see why anyone has to be a bee of any kind. I'm terrified of them. It's just who Fendrick was. He was always the type to take things to extremes. If Yinvar said his hair was too long, he'd shave it off. If she said he was around too much, he'd watch her from afar. If she said he was too short, he'd tie slabs of wood to the soles of his boots. If she said he was too tall, he'd crouch around all day like a goblin. It was really very sweet. Nothing could, and nothing would, until the day Yinvar told him yes. She'd love him on one condition, if he managed to best her in single combat. My sister knew that Fendrick was half the fighter she was, but more importantly, he would never lay a hand on the one he loved. So the deal wasn't fair, and it wasn't square. There was only one way he could hope to best her in combat, and both he and Yinvar knew it. I forget a lot, but I'll never forget that stormy night when he lay on the witch's table. How the thunder roared, and the grass stood on end. It began as a bluff, and became a vow. It didn't matter if the duel would never come. To Fendrick, this was a test of his love, and hers. I begged him to reconsider. I told him I'd tie my sister up and drag her to his tent. He turned his head to me and smiled. I smiled back. "You have your sister's smile," he said, and then the light went out of his eyes. Those words, his last words, they vex me to no end. Goodbye.
State your business, visitor. You speak to Yinvar, daughter of the free men. proud liberators of the kingdom of the Reach. That goes for the others too, though they won't say as much. Fendrick is a mute, and my sister Isolde might as well be one. They're both good folk, though, if you don't mind the awkward pauses. It talks fancy, like a highborn. Sure thing, master. You may have shelter and sanctuary and all the best wine the Four-Skull Lookout has to offer. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mock. Some folk just make easy targets. You did good to recognise us as the true people of the Reach. I must congratulate your mother on raising one so bright and making one so fetching. My, the master has a taste for savages. What will the city folk think? I'm sorry I confused you. I didn't know your masters didn't teach you proper history. The Reachmen called this home for ages upon eons, from before the time of the 10 Kingdoms to the day they were united by the Red Eagle himself. It's Hestra's armies that brought these lands under the tyranny of the Imperial banner. Ever since then, we Reach folk have been fighting the invaders off to reclaim our home. Fendrick, Isolde and I are just one of a long line of freedom fighters going back to Lord Vowelon, the first of the Briar Hearts. Aye. But it ain't about who was here first. It's about how this land was made free. Oh, there isn't now, is there? So if I found a plot of land I like, I can make a home, start a farm, and the local thane won't make a stink. If I make a bunch of money, the guard captain won't come knocking on my door to collect the Jarl's taxes. If I want to start a schooner operation, run a brothel or a dog pit, will the locals mind their own business or will they pry into mine? If I want to worship my own gods, do I have that right or will I be forced to kneel before yours? Claiming there's no slavery in Skyrim's a whole lot of mammoth dung, if you pardon me saying. Except it's a group with forced membership. They take all the good land, all the mines, so you've got no choice but to live where they tell you. And it just gets worse. Every year the cities grow bigger and the wilds shrink. Pretty soon there won't be any space left for the grass. What's it look like? Holding this spot in case the slave folk send their troops from the north to march on Carthspire. The Sundred Towers are a better defensive position, but it takes an era and a day to get the word out to camp. Here we got a view of the Carth, and an easy hike back to the spire. Not like we need it. Cloaks and slavers too busy fighting each other to bother with the free men of the Reach. It's happening just like Madanach said it would. He's a shrewd one. I didn't understand it at the time, him letting that silver blood use him. I was ready to call the old man a coward, but it turns out snakes don't need no backbone. Madanach ain't no king, and even if he called himself that, which he don't, it wouldn't mean he'd have to learn to be. The only ones we worship is the old gods. A man is only as good as his last idea. Ah, the brute. big and strong with eyes as dull as all poetry. Of course, there's a reason for all three of those things. He's a briar heart. He underwent the ancient rite and follows in the footsteps of Phaelon the Red Eagle. It's a great honour. Although he's not as fast as most briar hearts, I'm not just talking about his wits. When he runs, I like to imagine he's dragging an invisible boulder behind him. When his lumbering makes a little more sense. Aye, bravery is something that's lacking in folks these days. Because they got this idea in their head their lives are too valuable to lose. That's why them old lords had to make up Southern Guard. It ain't brave to die in battle if you've got a paradise waiting for you as a reward. To throw your life away so that others can live in an earthly paradise, a free world, well, that's real bravery. So we're in agreement. Fancy that. But is it the void they go to, or somewhere else? Maybe they don't go. Maybe they return. The old gods tell us a soul ain't whisked away to some faraway land. Makes no sense if you think about it. It'd be way too crowded. Soul is like the air around us. We get out, so it finds its way to another. Same as he is now, loyal, just a little more annoying about it, always reminding me to smile, so I'd stick out my jaw and grin at him. I mean, I ain't a bloody nerd. I smile just as much as anyone, but I know the one he was trawling for, the one I gave him that day by the river. When we were children, we used to go swimming in the calf and fish around for clams. I was running my hands through a patch of pebbles and something nipped at my hand. I screamed and Fendrick came running over. He looked at the cut on my finger and said he knew how to make it better. And he kissed it. Little as I was, all I could do was blush. Then he says, "Oh no, I think the crab's got on your lips too." I told him maybe it did, and I flashed him a smile. The next day, I made him promise to never tell anyone, and he never did.
I believe at the heart of every brigand lies a soldier of Dibella. All it takes is one sight, one landmark, and they will turn. What is it? Is there something in my teeth? Oh gods, I sure hope not. Forsworn are trying to resurrect the Red Eagle. My Uncle Hestus told me stories about him. He wasn't very nice. This place is wonderful. I dare not blink.
Blood and silver, friend. Blood and silver.
Excellent. You've done us a great service. Here is your reward. I have letters to read.
The Silverblood family will be heard.
I don't believe it. You found the Forge Master's fingers. You've impressed me, Outlander. No one else has returned from this task before. By the Code of Malakath, I name you bloodkin to the orcs. Let it be known among the strongholds that you are family now. Feel free to trade with our smiths for orc weapons and armor. Train with my warriors, or purchase poisons from the wise woman. Welcome to our stronghold, Bloodkin.